right, welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn.
Temperatures are dropping on the plains, and apparently so are coaches. The football program parted ways with its head coach, and both basketball programs barely squeaked out an overtime win. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. We're happy to have you here. I'm Kitty Diamond.
And I'm Brooks Crew, and if you thought basketball and football was all, well, you're in store for conference championships, dominant performances from ranked squads, and more. But Kitty, what's been the buzzword of the week?
You know, after Bruce Pearl left, I would have told you it was expectations, but now it's clear that everyone is saying patience. There's no bigger news on the plains this week than Hugh Freeze's dismissal from the program.
That's right. The screaming horde of Auburn fans seem to have finally gotten their way as the university announced on Sunday that it would be parting ways with third-year head coach Hugh Freeze after an abysmal showing in last week's Kentucky game. His experience was far from unique, as college football has fired 4 major head coaches in the past 4 weeks.
DJ Turkin, the team's defensive coordinator, is set to take over the Tigers until the university can find a suitable candidate to fill the position.
John Cohen, Auburn University's athletic director, had quite a lot to say about the decision and steps moving forward. Take a listen.
I mean, our fan base is incredible. I just, from the moment I stepped onto this campus and I went to my first football game, which was Texas A&M, it was obvious to me this place is different. We have incredibly loyal fans. We have fans who have shown patience. We have fans who have given in every way. They've given their time. They've given financially. They have given in every way. Now it's time for us to give back. And that's one of the many reasons we had to make this decision.
There was that word again. Many thought Hugh Freeze, despite struggles, would remain Auburn's head coach for the rest of the year. That was until the Kentucky game.
And perhaps the most disappointing showing of all in recent memory of Auburn football. The Tigers were stifled by Kentucky, who's statistically the worst team in the SEC until arguably Auburn now. The Tigers managed just 3 points in that game, and even those were off field position that was so graciously given by the defense.
Auburn juggled quarterbacks throughout the matchup as neither Jackson Arnold nor Ashton Daniels seemed to be able to generate any momentum for the team.
The stands were half empty by halftime, and Coach Freeze walked out of his final game in Jordan-Hare to a chorus of boos and chants for his firing. Not quite the way to leave a legacy. Eagle Eye's own Barrett Brown was on the sideline for the historic loss, and she has the full story now.
On November 1st, Auburn fell to number 16 Kentucky 10-3 in Auburn's military appreciation game in Jordan-Hare.
From the first snap, Ashton Daniels struggles to get the offense going behind center, only accumulating 63 total yards in the first quarter. However, Auburn fought hard. Kieron Crawford and Xavier Atkins share a quarterback sack, holding Kentucky to only 98 yards in the first half. Ashton used his legs to gain 48 rushing yards in his first start as a Tiger. Despite a slow night for Cam Coleman, his 34 receiving yards would still lead the Auburn offense. Kentucky strikes first on a 48-yard field goal from Jacob Callaway. A shift in momentum sparks the Auburn team with Elijah Melendez grabs his first career interception. Jeremiah Cobb had himself a night. His 72 rushes on 20 carries led both teams. Auburn couldn't quite punch it in, so they turned to Alex McPherson for a field goal. With the help of Cutter Bowley, Kendrick Law converts in the red zone for a Wildcat touchdown and tacks on 13 more receiving yards. While Auburn may be down, the fans knew a one-score game in Jordan-Hare is far from over. Auburn's defense is one of 3 teams not to allow their opponent more than 24 points this season. However, they couldn't pull them out of the hole tonight. Both player and coaches share their frustration with the loss.
I wish I could ask for patience, but that's not really something that's that people want to give in this day and time, and I understand that. I just know that we're so dang close.
Auburn now has a 4-4 overall record and a 1-4 record in SEC play. Coming up, they will be back in Jordan-Hare November 22nd to play Mercer. With Eagle Eye TV, I'm Barrett Brown.
New Auburn head coach DJ Durkin will have his first chance to prove himself as the interim head coach for the Tigers, but the program's plunged him straight into the fire.
Durkin's first opponent will be the number 16 Vanderbilt Commodores, who, despite a recent loss to Texas, have been extremely dominant this season. Led by Diego Pavela, the two-loss Commodores have averaged over 37 points per game, making them even more dangerous to the Tigers' defensive than Arkansas's high-flying offense was.
The offense will need to manage more than 3 points this week, as Pavia is sure to take the Auburn defense for a ride as the Tigers look to continue to be on the short list of teams that have yet to allow more than 24 points in a game this season. The other two, number 1, Ohio State, and number 2, Indiana. Just goes to show how rough offense has been for the Tigers this season.
When we come back, Eagle Eye insider John Prowell will join Brooks in the studio to discuss the Kentucky game. Hugh Freeze's firing, and we'll look ahead to the Tigers' coaching search and the upcoming Vanderbilt matchup. Stick with us.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. And man, what a week it has been for the sport of football here on the Plains. We had a disappointing loss, the removal of a head coach, the appointing of a new head coach, and now we're headed to number 16 Vanderbilt. John Prowell joins me in the studio right now. We're going to talk about, first of all, what in the world happened in that Kentucky game?
Well, obviously, from what we've seen, it was a pretty disappointing game. Just the fact that the offense couldn't score any points at all except for a field goal, which was handed them by the defense. Just pretty evident that our offense didn't show up to play and hasn't shown up to play most of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. DJ Durkin, the new interim head coach at Auburn, spoke on his priorities moving through to the Vanderbilt game. Take a listen.
Yeah, like our focus is 100% on Vanderbilt. We're trying to go 1-0. Trying to go 1-0 this week, and that will take all of our focus for sure. You know, obviously that's a hard enough task on a normal basis. Then you add in everything going on and distractions and all else. It will take all of us collectively to have our mind fully on that, and that's certainly where mine is. I do not take the responsibility lightly. These players are counting on myself and our coaching staff to give them a plan that they can have success with come Saturday.
Now, of course, Durkin is just the interim, and the Tigers are looking for a more full-time, long-term solution. John, who sticks out to you right now in the coaching search on this big carousel that is the SEC in Auburn's decision?
Well, I'm happy you asked me that today, Brooks, because I have 3 main candidates that they should be looking at. In particular, John Summerall will be the first one. Obviously, being the Tulane head coach currently, he's 6-2. His team's doing pretty well, and not only that, he's had experience in the SEC. Sure, as a linebacker coach, but he's been able to be in this conference and had pretty decent experience there as well. And then we have James Franklin, who's currently without a job, but I'm sure we all know him from Penn State. He led the team to a pretty good record every single year he's been there, but again, he can't win the big game. But again, Auburn's pretty used to that. And then we have Jimbo Fisher, who not only is great at recruiting, but also has experience in the SEC. He should be a pretty good candidate for us if we want to get back to our winning ways.
Yeah, every coach certainly has their pluses and minuses, but before we even start thinking about our next head coach, we got to look ahead to the next game. After all, we got 3 more this season, and we need to win 2 of them in order to be bowl eligible, to avoid falling out of that for 2 years in a row. John, Vanderbilt coming up this week, number 16 in the country. What sticks out to you about this team?
I'm not going to lie to you. I have 3 main players. Before we get into the players on this graphic, I'd like to get into who Vanderbilt is as a team. Not only are they 7-2, as you said, but they've lost to only Alabama and Texas, who are some of the top-ranked programs in college football right now. But their offense is ranked 13th in points per game, and they average 7.21 yards per carry. They also have a great running game that is ranked 5th in the nation, and they average 6.5 yards per carry. And Diego Pave's not a slouch. He has over 2,000 yards and only 5 interceptions, and also has 500 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. But not only that, we have Eli Stowers. He's a player right here on this graphic. He has 500 yards by himself, 4 receiving touchdowns. And then we have C.J. Hurd, who's an incredible safety, 47 overall tackles, 33 solo tackles, 1 interception, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble. So that's a pretty good look at Vanderbilt as a team and some key players for them.
Yeah, certainly a very talented team in Vanderbilt. No doubt they deserve where they are ranked. What do they need to do, the Tigers, to take down the Commodores this Saturday?
Well, the key main thing we need to look at is showing Diego Pavia some pressure. You need to contain him. One main game that sticks out to me is that Alabama game where they played him. They showed pressure early to Diego Pavia with Deonze Pierre, and they were able to get him not only to the ground, but to make key mistakes in the red zone. Make sure he makes those mistakes, contain him, and show him pressure. Some key players that can do that is Kendrick Falk, Xavier Atkins, and Jarrett Smith. Those are the X factors in that matchup for you. And then obviously, there's Eli Stowers. You need to know where he is at all times. That's Eddie showed him in the graphic. He is a great tight end. Make sure Caleb Harris, Eric Winters, and Caden Lee are stuck on him like glue. Make sure he not only goes nowhere and has no effect on the game. And then you got to contain the run game. They're averaging 6.5 yards per carry. And Diego is killing for this team. And so are their 2 running backs that they lead by committee, which means we need to have 2 X-factor players on them, DeMarcus Riddick and Elijah Melendez, who need to be stuck to them like glue, make sure they do not make the ball and run it forward. And obviously, for us to win, we got to have offense. So run the ball, DJ. If you can hear me right now, run the ball and do not throw it. We've already taken 37 sacks among both QBs. Use Jeremiah Cobb. And that's how we can win this matchup, Mike Brooks.
John, thank you for joining us, and I'm sure Coach Durkin is very grateful for your insight. That's all the time we have for this segment, but don't go anywhere. When we return, myself and Eagle Eye reporter Cohen Dalzell will dive into all things Auburn men's sports in Eagle Eye's Men's Minute. Don't go anywhere. We've officially reached the time of year where Auburn winter sports overlap with the fall sports. Stephen Pearl's squad had their final exhibition game against Memphis just last week.
Both teams dueled in Atlanta, with Auburn claiming the win. It was decisive for the Tigers as the final score was 100-71. Splitting their exhibition games, Auburn fans were finally ready to have their Tigers play at home. I think they needed to see what Stephen Pearl in action to know that this era was real. Auburn men's basketball started off their regular season in a way few expected, a gritty, hard-fought overtime win over Bethune-Cookman. The Wildcats just couldn't seem to miss this matchup, and Auburn's cohesion looked shaky at best.
The Tigers squeaked out a win against the Wildcats, 95-90 in overtime, but obviously pretty far from the type of win Auburn has been looking for to start its season.
BCU just couldn't seem to miss, shooting over 50% from the three-point line, regardless of whether the shooters were open or contested. Conversely, Auburn made just 26% of its three-pointers and was blocked 8 times by the Wildcats.
Quentin Hetty headlined the Wildcats offense with 21 points, while Seneca Willoughby shot a staggering 80% from beyond the stripe to force overtime against the Tigers.
Transfer senior Keyshawn Hall smothered the stat sheet for the Tigers, scoring 28 while shooting 50% from the three-point line. He also made 16 of his 18 free throws, keeping the Tigers on top throughout the game.
After his first win with the program, here are Stephen Pearl's thoughts.
So, I just, I know Auburn fans are tired of being told to be patient, so we're going to get our to work. But we, it's a group of 10 new guys, so it is going to take time for this group to learn, to grow, and to get better, and that's something that we're committed to doing every single day.
Up next for the Tigers is a Thursday matchup against Merrimack, in which the team surely hopes to get things moving a little more smoothly. Now, we'll swing it on over to Eagle Eye reporter Cohen Dalzell, who I'm told unfortunately lost his IM soccer game last night, but it was a very talented team that he lost to. And he also has some cross-country news for you. Cohen?
Yeah, Brooks, you got us on that front, but I got the viewers on some Auburn cross-country. Auburn men's cross-country hit the ground running into the postseason as they competed in the SEC cross-country championships. The Auburn men took the 12th in the championships, with star Nixon Chevy speeding his way into second place in the men's 8K. The Kenyan ran his season best on the 8K, timing 23 minutes and 11 seconds. The Auburn women finished 16th, with senior Jean Coetzee leading the women in the 6K, finishing 68th with a 21:42. Swinging it on over to the Diamond, Auburn baseball finishes up their fall ball campaign this Saturday, November 8th, as they travel to play Kennesaw State in an exhibition matchup at Mickey Dunn Stadium, just north of Atlanta in Kennesaw. It's the last time until February that you'll be able to see the Tigers on the Diamond. The Tigers start their season February 20th through the 22nd at the Amergy Bank College Baseball Series at Globe Life Field in Dallas, Texas. While Auburn baseball action will begin drying up, we are just diving into the swim season. Number 20 Auburn Swimming and Diving jumped into Knoxville but came splashing down with a loss to Louisville and Tennessee last Thursday. The men's team lost 165-132 to the Cardinals, with Danny Schmidt, Ethan Stewart, and Cal McKinnon finishing third in their events. The women's team also lost 180.5-119.5 to Louisville. Elizaveta Kalenovich didn't win her event, but moved into top 5 all-time on the program leaderboard for her lifetime best 21.8 in the 50-meter freestyle. Both teams also lost to Tennessee, with the men falling to the Vols 165-132, and the women fell to the Lady Vols 176-121. The Tigers swim and dive team travels to Atlanta to participate in the Georgia Tech Invite next week on November 13th. Back at the desk, they have some Auburn sports trivia for you.
Thanks, Cohen. We'll keep it on the topic of swim and dive for now. The swim and dive program at Auburn has had several swimmers find themselves a spot in the record books. Just this season, who has had the third best time in Auburn's history for the men's 200-meter free? Is it A, Ethan Swart, B, Daniel Krzyzewski, C, Madison Ballew, or D, Talon Blackman?
We'll have the answer for you after the commercial, and we'll have plenty of women's sports to walk you through. Get ready for the Eagle Eyes Women's Watch when we come back. Before the break, Kitty asked you, who has the third best time in Auburn history for the men's 200-meter free? Is it A, Ethan Swart, B, Daniel Krzyzewski, C, Madison Ballew, or D, Talon Blackman? The correct answer, B, Daniel Krzyzewski. He claimed that feat at the Tigers' most recent tournament in Knoxville, swimming a time of 1:32.72.
To kick off our Women's Watch Strong, let's dive into some equestrian. I mean, geez, these girls are rising to the top, now ranked at number 3 after taking down a powerful number 7 TCU team this past Friday. This was by no means a close-cutting success for the Tigers. The girls took 4 of 5 points in fences, horsemanship, and flat, with especially impressive performances by Avery Glynn, who earned her 3rd most outstanding performance honor of the season on the flat, and Sydney Swallam, who secured her 2nd horsemanship MOP this year. Overall, super impressive work from these Lady Tigers.
Make sure to follow along as the team returns home to face off against number 3 South Carolina this coming Saturday. It's a matchup you don't want to miss. Now, back to Cohen for some updates on all things golf and soccer.
Number 6 Auburn women's golf traveled to Hawaii to take part in the Nanea Invitational, and after a great first day, they fell a couple spots in rounds 2 and 3 to take 3rd as a team. Anna Davis took 1st place once again, firing on all cylinders and shooting 10 under par individually and leading the team to that 3rd place finish. Charlotte Cantonis also looked great in the podium finish, taking 5th at 8 under par individually. They start up their spring at Eagle Creek Golf Club in Orlando with the PDI Intercollegiate hosted by UCF, January 25th through the 27th. While golf continues to take shots, women's soccer has taken their final shot for the season. The team fell in the first round of the SEC tournament in Pensacola, Florida, where their opponent was the Bayou Bengals, the LSU Tigers, who claimed the match 3-2. On a brighter note, it is also important to add that a couple Auburn soccer players received some conference honors. First, Hayden Colson got a first-team All-SEC bid. Aaron Fleury received an impressive third-team All-SEC honor, and freshman standout Lily Devereaux got an SEC All-Freshman honor as well. Huge congratulations to these remarkable athletes. Kitty, with that ending, how are the new beginnings looking?
Well, just yesterday, the Tigers faced off against Charlotte to kick off a new Larry Vickers era. Needless to say, they started on a high note with a 14-0 run in overtime to secure a comfortable 71-58 win over Charlotte. Here's a glimpse from Larry Vickers' first win in the orange and blue.
Great job, y'all. Okay. Have y'all heard the old folks saying, getting the butter from the duck? No. Oh, y'all got the butter from the duck today.
We look forward to seeing how the Tigers continue to perform as we look ahead to this Saturday, where Auburn will face off against Alabama State back home in Neville Arena. Cohen, what do we have coming up for the women's tennis program?
Well, Brooks, Auburn women's tennis is into the home stretch of the postseason as they look to the ITA South Sectional Championships. This takes place this weekend in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The tournament is the last of the year before the NCAA singles and doubles championships later this month. Now over to another diamond sport, women's softball. Auburn softball is back for their last fall ball exhibitions before the new season starts in 2026. The Tigers host Wallace State this Friday, November 7th, and Florida State this Saturday, November 8th at Jane B. Moore Field. It gives the Lady Tigers one more chance to get a little tune-up before this winter. Currently in action, the volleyball team is looking to stay the course. Auburn traveled to Columbia, South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks. Auburn came out the victors 3-1 as they try to make their way into the NCAA tournament with some late season wins. Auburn had 3 players in double-digit kills, with Liz Markovska leading with 18 and Belle Zimmerman and Lauren Dreves adding 10 apiece in the Tigers' win. Following their win against the Gamecocks, Auburn was not able to follow up with a second win, losing on the road to the Dogs of Florida at Stegman Coliseum. Auburn hit just 105 in the loss and couldn't manage to bring the match to 5 sets, falling 3-1. Auburn has another chance to put themselves in the NCAA tournament mix as they host number 6 Texas A&M at Neville Arena this Friday, November 7th. The Tigers will have to slow down the elite Aggie offense as well as take their chance as well if they are going to take the reins of their destiny and upset the 6th-ranked team in the land. Brooks, Kitty, did I hear you have some volleyball trivia for the viewers?
You heard right, and it's about the squad you just wrapped up with. It's time for our second and final trivia of the evening, coming from this time the volleyball court. When was the last SEC volleyball tournament? Was it A in 2020, B 2015, C 2005, or D 2000?
We will have that answer right after a short break. We welcome you all back. We will start trending Tigers as well as hear about some notable alumni continuing to do their thing in the pros. We'll see you right after this. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. When we left off, Kitty promised you an answer to our second trivia question, which was, when was the last SEC volleyball tournament? Was it A, 2020, B, 2015, C, 2005, or D, 2000? For those of you guessing letter C, you would be correct. The last SEC volleyball tournament was, in fact, in 2005. The SEC apparently decided that a 20-year lapse was long enough, so the conference will return to hosting a volleyball tournament this year. It'll be held starting at November 21st, so if any of y'all want to head to Savannah, Georgia for Thanksgiving, you could join in on the history in the making. Now, moving on to what my opinion is the best part of Sports Night in Auburn, let's head over to Auburn and the NFL. We'll start off with Daniel Carlson, who kicked a 24-yard field goal, went 2 for 3 on extra points, contributed 5 points in the Raiders' 29-30 overtime loss to Jaguars, but it's also worth noting that Auburn's own Alex McPherson tied Carlson's record for most kicks made in a game against Arkansas.
Moving on to Darius Slayton, who had 62 receiving yards on 5 receptions, averaging 12.4 yards per catch in the Giants' 24-34 loss to the 49ers.
On the other side of the ball, Austin Keys had 4 tackles and a sack in the Vikings' 27-24 win over my Lions.
Finally, we have to talk about Carlton Davis, the third who made 6 tackles, 5 of those being solo tackles, and 1 pass defended in the Patriots' 24-23 win over the Falcons. That's all for Auburn in the NFL. We are so proud of our Auburn alum. Now, let's kick it to some trending Tigers. While I'm sure everyone was embracing the Halloween spirit this past weekend, no one ever does it quite like Aubie. I mean, is there a treat better than a surprise from Aubie the Tiger for these adorable kids? Honestly, it makes me rethink whether I've officially aged out of my trick-or-treating years. You think I could go next year?
I think you get away with it, but we also have some men's basketball updates. Ira Bowman was promoted to associate head coach, which now means that Ian Borders and Matt Gatens will move up the ranks to assistant coaching positions.
Now, you all know it's my favorite part of the show. Let's talk some outfits. Kieran Crawford showed off some next-level Nike drip this past Saturday, serving a lovely reminder of our big switch to the swish. Come on, that was smooth. Personally, one of my favorite looks this season, and I can't wait to see these guys show off more of their style this weekend. At least there's something to be excited about. On that note, that's all we have time for today. For more Sports Night in Auburn and Eagle Eye Sports, follow our Instagram and Twitter pages. Make sure to subscribe right here on YouTube and tune in every single week. My name is Kitty Diamond.
And for all of us here in the Eagle Eye studio, Cohen and John and everyone behind the camera, our producers are Sophia Weber and Madison Seidel. I'm Brooks Crew. This has been Sports Night in Auburn. Good night and War Eagle.